In this video, I'm sharing the permaculture principles that I use to design for abundance on this half-acre plot in the desert. First, I'll be showing the plans for the roadside fruit tree guilds. Next, I'll explain the importance of designing a California native species plot. And lastly, I'll discuss how these work together to support the bigger picture of the property. Welcome to Roots of Resilience. This is a channel dedicated to permaculture principles being designed and applied on a half-acre plot in Southern California, Zone 9A, the desert. Follow my journey as I use the permaculture principles that I learned and the spiritual knowledge that I've gained over the past 3 decades to turn this area into a thriving food forest. First step, we're going to turn the roadside areas into fruit tree guilds. One of the main principles we'll be using is integrate rather than segregate. This will be a place for the community to come and to have free access to food, organic produce that they can come and grab at any time. These fruit tree guilds will also provide a beautification for the area. In this area, there's a lot of barren trees, or there's a lot of pine trees, or Joshua trees. We have a lot of those, as you can see behind me. But we don't have a lot of fruit trees that are available. You go to places like LA or other places, maybe in the Midwest or the southern states, and there's fruit trees on the sidewalks, and you can go and grab some food if you wanted to, if you knew what you were looking for. But out here, that's not really available. So I wanted to create a place where we can invite the community in and still have some privacy. By creating a wall of green, what we'll do is essentially allow for the neighboring community to come in and gather some food if they need, but it also provides some protection from the road noise and also some privacy for the home. Another main principle that we used was use the edges and value the marginal. These areas that I'm talking about are on the roadsides. So I'm on a corner lot, which means that a lot of my property is up against the road. What building these fruit tree guilds does is it allows me to maximize my use of the space while also creating a living fence. It serves as a welcome sign for the insects. It lets the pollinators know, hey, there's stuff going on here, come on by, spread some pollen, and let's grow some plants. Another principle that was important was to start small and use slow solutions. These fruit tree guilds are in a small area, so it's going to be easy to manage. It's going to be roughly 40 feet by 20 feet in each section. And what that does is that allows me to plant the trees, water them. I can hand water them if I need to while I'm still figuring out the irrigation system. And it allows me to monitor their growth, more carefully tend to them, and ensure that I'm able to utilize the nitrogen fixing tree that's already planted and also learn over time. So having 6 trees, having several plants, shrubs, ground cover, that's going to be a nice small start, and it will allow me to integrate and to learn over time. Next, the California native garden is going to be important. It's going to play a vital role to this half-acre homestead. One of the main principles that I used when designing this was, once again, integrate rather than segregate. By creating a wildlife corridor for the animals that are frequently going through this area, I provide them a natural food source with their native species that they may be used to. So the squirrels and the rabbits, the birds, all of those things. I want to make sure that they have their own space so that they don't feel the need to come eat my stuff, the stuff that I'm growing for my family. Another principle that's important for this California native garden is to use and value diversity. So these are native plants. They have a wide diversity when compared to staple crops or different fruits that humans might prefer to consume. We have many different flowers, many different cactus species, many different bush species that are already established, and I would just like to add on to those and fill out the gaps and provide a more cohesive landscape for those native species. There's a couple benefits to this diversity. There's many different beautiful colors, purples, oranges, yellows, some reds, and a lot of these native species also have some medicinal qualities. So I'm hoping to plant them, give the wildlife a nice little area to roam through, and also have a beautiful landscape. Another principle that was applied when it comes to the California native species garden is catch and store energy. These California native species are experts at storing energy. Their roots go extremely deep, and they harvest as much water as they can so that they can store it for when they don't have it. And I find that that's going to be beneficial, especially along the boundary where I'm not going to be watering as much. So they can take care of that naturally, while I focus more on the things that I want to grow for my family. These species also excel in the harsh, sunny conditions of Southern California. And they also have a natural seed bank system. So they naturally drop their seeds, and the seeds get covered by the dirt, and those seeds lay dormant until they have large rainy seasons. That's why we get things like the super bloom out here, or other situations where a big rain event will come, and all of a sudden all these new plants that we haven't seen in years are blooming up, and they're spreading their seeds again, and they're repeating that cycle. So how do these design aspects support the bigger picture of this half-acre homestead? The first one is interconnectedness. I don't want to have a walled garden. I don't want to be the property on the corner where everyone can look inside and see they're growing a bunch of stuff, but I can't get in there. I don't want the animals to look and see and say, how do I get in there? How do I take from that property? I don't want anything to feel like it's being excluded. I designed around being inviting without sacrificing that privacy, without sacrificing that innate desire to feel protected and to feel safe and to have your own space. So I want to invite the native species to walk along the perimeter, as well as invite the neighboring community to come and have access to food without feeling the desire to covet what I'm growing for my family. By creating an abundance of life in a place where there's not typically an abundance of life, I wanted to make sure that I'm extending an olive branch, so to speak, to the surrounding community, whether that's plants, animals, or other people. This wildlife corridor that I plan on building is going to sustain the squirrels, which have been a problem in the past. They've dug up some of my other plants. So I want to give them a space, I want to give them food, I want to make sure they're taken care of, but I also don't want them coming into my area and taking my stuff. By creating a natural barrier, it's also going to keep the coyotes at bay. It'll keep them off the property, it'll keep them on the boundary where they can hunt for squirrels or hunt for rabbits or hunt for whatever they need without coming in to disturb my chickens or my other livestock that I plan on getting. This wildlife corridor is also inviting to the pollinators. Like I said before, I want to let all the bees know, I want to let all the hummingbirds know, hey, this is a good spot. Come here and share the love. Another way that these designs support the larger picture is they provide a learning experience. These are smaller areas with lower barriers to entry. They also are going to be more resilient by nature, and they're going to help me learn what I need to learn before I start on my bigger projects, which I'll be talking about in a following video. I need to know what actually works here. What is going to work? What do I need to put more effort into? What is not going to be the right amount of effort? What's not worth the effort? These are going to be projects that will help me establish those understandings and help me grow as a gardener and help me grow as a permaculturalist. These designs are also going to help me understand what the land needs. What do the animals need? What does the land need? The land has been so barren for so long that I don't know. I've never done it. I need to figure it out. And by beginning small, integrating rather than segregating, storing energy, right? I can begin to understand that. And I can begin to steward this land in a good way. In this video, I discussed the thought processes and the design processes behind creating the boundaries of my property. Be sure to subscribe. You won't want to miss what's coming up. In the next few videos, I'm going to be building some potato gardens. I'm also going to be discussing my favorite parts of the rest of the design, as well as more work that's being done on this half-acre homestead. We have tons of other videos coming up. I have probably 30 other videos I'm planning. So if this sounds like fun to you, if you want to follow along on my journey, please be sure to subscribe. Thank you for tuning in to Roots of Resilience. There's a lot of work to be done, and we're just getting started.